I'm going to call to order the September 2022 WCAC meeting. And we have quorum because we have all members. And I'm going to share my screen. Marcia, are you the host? Are you able to, it looks like screen sharing is disabled.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry about that.
That's
Hang
right. Good
on.
luck finding that setting.
Really? It says one can share at a time, so you should be able to. Did you want to share the agenda?
Yeah.
I have that up, so I can do that for you.
Okay.
Hang on. All right. At least I thought I had it up. Give me a minute. All right. Are you able to see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Great. So we'll approve prior meeting minutes. So it looks like we have two that were circulated, August and May. Looking back, we're July was canceled. June didn't happen. And so I think we're still missing minutes for March and April.
I found March, but I am still looking around for April. I think Amy Robinson took notes in March, and I am not sure who did it in April.
But you found March? You found March? Is that what you
Well,
said?
I found it kind of through like the email chain of her asking us to react to them, and then we approved them in April according to our minutes. So March I can send in to Marcia and Elizabeth.
Okay.
But I still probably need a bit more time to track down April.
Okay. And then, all right, so then we have May. So we just point of process, we got them like half an hour ago. Can we approve those on this meeting, Marcia, or do we need to give it more time?
If people have had a chance to review them or have no problems with them, yes, they could be approved. But if people wish to take additional time to review them and really provide comments, then you might want to delay.
And there's no problem with that.
No.
So why don't we just do that? I'm not even going to pose the question. Thank you for collecting them, Susan, but why don't we, everybody on the committee, make sure to take a look at them offline, and then we can either vote on it next time, or we'll just vote on it next time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And sorry about only reaching out about this a couple of days ago, Marcia, but I'd love to get my hands on the Zoom recordings if possible to just fill out the gaps in my notes.
Right. The only one I think we've been recording, except I'm not sure that we recorded April. So that's the problem that I think we're running into.
Got it. Okay.
One second. All right. Okay, so we'll have those approved at the next, or we'll vote on those at the next meeting. I did look at the August meeting minutes, and basically what I think we should do with this initiative tracker from like a housekeeping or semantics standpoint is any of these agenda items that we just kind of keep on the meeting agenda to update every month, we'll just consider those initiatives under the initiative tracker, and everything else like the acute, update we're going to get on the combat construction this month, or other standard agenda items will be separate from the initiative tracker. So I'll consolidate that on the next proposed agenda. And then what we can do is, so all these things here Susan, you had kind of under the initiative tracker,
Mhm.
and we can kind of just go through them. And as we get to the agenda items, I can read out the notes from last meeting to as a starting point.
That sounds good.
So that's kind of that is also kind of the housekeeping agenda item, is that we'll consolidate that way going forward into the initiative tracker. Okay, and then we have two guests on today who asked to update us on the status of the ComAv construction project from CPW, and Steve Dukran and Justin Richardson. So Stephen or Justin, one of you want to provide the update for us? We're very happy to have that update, by the way. So thank you for offering that.
Great. Steve, do you want me to do this or do you want to take it?
Yeah, you got the details, Justin, so why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So thank you for having us. Very happy to keep everyone informed related to this project. So as you guys are probably aware, construction started in July. National Grid has been out there doing their work. Unfortunately, they were supposed to start a while back, so we've kind of experienced some delays because of them. They're actually finishing their portion of the work today. They're paving right now. So as going forward, it's going to be more of the private development and work that's going to be completed, and then some CMLP work remaining. So CMLP still has to install 2 light poles along the southerly side of Commonwealth Ave. And then they need to replace a vault, which is very close to the train tracks in front of number 75 Commonwealth Ave. So that work is scheduled to be completed this week. And then 13B, they are doing their water taps, both for fire protection and their domestic water service currently as well. So that's anticipated to be complete on Friday. Neshoba Bakery has already made all their connections into the roadway. So, basically, as of next week, Concord Public Works, our contractor, will be coming on site and starting their portion of the project. So initially, their first order of business is going to be there's some drainage improvements that are going to be installed. They're like immediately adjacent to one of the bump outs, and then a little further down where there's an area of puddling. And then moving forward from there, they're going to be reclaiming the street, which is basically what we are bringing before you and let you know exactly what's going on. That's going to be relatively disruptive because of just the nature of it. They basically dig down approximately 16 inches, recompact the material. Well, before that, they lower all the existing structures in the roadway. So catch basins, CMLP vaults, water, sewer, gate valves, boxes, that type of stuff. Then they dig approximately 16 inches, recompact all the material, and then they repave that in binder course to start with. So essentially, while this is going on, the contractor has provided us an initial traffic management plan for this portion of the project, which during the reconstruction of the roadway will involve a one-way track that goes, it'll be headed out of town in that direction in front of the Commonwealth Ave structures, and it'll loop around onto Lawsbrook and then Conan Street, Main Street, Church Street, and that'll be the detour is around that loop. We have a website or a web page on our website that will post the traffic management plan, and once it's finalized, for everyone to see. So I think I've sent people from this commission the website. So if you have any questions, I can forward.
Yeah, could you possibly forward us the link? Because people are very confused about the timeline. I'm in Bradford Mill right now. That's kind of right in the center of all this. There's artists here, there's developers, there's a lot of businesses here. So if we could is this gonna be, what's the timeline? So today's September 7th. Is this through New Year's? Is this ending in December? And how long will that construction loop or that detour be in place? I mean, if there's a special link, what I can do is I can tell Tatiana, who runs the mill, I can send her the link so every business here will have it. Because right now people don't know.
Yeah, so we're going to be posting, we'll be posting flyers on door hangers essentially for a neighborhood meeting once our contractor is going to be coming in. So we'll have another meeting related to that. With notifications, and I can definitely forward you that link.
That'd be awesome. And what's the timeline though, just so I can give people a sense? When do you expect the construction to be over?
So that's part of the reason we're coming here to discuss our procedure with you. Essentially, what we're planning on now is to have the contractor come in, do his reclamation work, and get the roadway essentially paved in binder. It's not a finished course, but into binder, raise all the structures to the appropriate elevations for plowing, and stop there and move forward with the remainder of it next year.
By what, March or April, or what's the plan?
So that's sort of what we're trying to get information from everyone related to that, like what would be a good time to start. We're sensitive to all the businesses in the area. We understand shopping season, school season, all that type of stuff. So we've tried to get our work hours to be more appropriate to make it as, I guess, comfortable as possible, understanding that it can't be 100% comfortable. So
yeah. Hey Justin, what's so when it's at the binder stage like that, it's drivable at that point?
Oh yeah, it's right. The pavement itself is just a little more bumpy, but it's still pavement. It's not, we can still plow it. All that it's not going to be an issue for bicyclists or anything like that.
I mean, I guess what I would say is for the businesses, like the Economic Vitality Committee might be a resource for that. But for the residents, I think the time that it's in place matters, and then there are details about things like are people actually using the proper detour? Like I just know from, and this is just an example, we live on Highland Street, which is like a cut through sort of from Church Street to Main Street. And people will use it as a through street to get around the traffic light when there are detours like this going on. There's just like a lot of kids on the street, and they'll cruise down at like 50 miles an hour. So, I mean, I think we want to watch out for those kinds of things while the detour is going on. And if it's a long, if the detour is in place for a long time, then we want to put some plans in place for things like that. But
just let me talk about the duration of the detour. We expect, after talking to the contractor, that that detour through Concord Road is for just about a week.
Okay.
The reclamation process where the road is torn up, and once we get to binder, then it'll be open back. So any work that's occurring prior to the reclamation, the drainage work and so on, that wouldn't require detour. They can still maintain the two-way traffic. So for this year, according to what Justin told you, it'll be 2 weeks or so for construction from getting started to when the binder is in place and opening back the road. 2 weeks, probably 3. And then we will have the operating pretty normal for the rest of the fall. Because we are sensitive to, the economic vitality of the area, especially the fall business and commerce and all of that's necessary, especially in that location. As far as next year, we will talk to others to figure out exactly when a good start is. We were hoping to have it all done this year. National Grid threw us off that timeline with their long delays. And so we have to try and repeat it next year. We suspect that, late spring, early summer is a good start when things slow down, like we saw this year. But we yet have to confirm that if you don't have that answer.
So just to reiterate then, I can tell people it's happening in 2 phases. The first phase, where it'll be half complete basically and still drivable, will end like by Thanksgiving or before?
No, certainly before that. We expect it to be done maybe early October.
October, okay, and then the second phase would be next year sometime in the summer?
Early summer or late spring, whenever it's we can get a contractor out there, but certainly working around the impact to the business district.
Okay, and can you remind us again what part? I know it's basically is about 1/10 of a mile on Commonwealth. It's not that large what you're doing. Is it basically, do you have the street numbers where it starts and ends?
I don't have the street numbers, but it essentially goes from the triangle at Kenny Dunn Square
Yep.
to the train tracks. That's the portion of repaving.
Okay, I get it.
The actual sidewalk work is less than that along. It basically goes from the train tracks to the second Beharrell Street headed towards Lawsbrook.
Got it.
I have the Public Works website open. Do you want me to share my screen to run through some of that? at
Yeah,
all?
sure.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
And just as you're doing that, a clarification, is there sensitivity to businesses earlier in the spring that you're worried about disrupting? When you say sort of start late spring, early summer, or is that more of a contractor availability problem in the early spring?
So usually we don't start any work after April or before April 15th, just because of the potential for having snowfall.
Right,
And that's when our typical,
got it.
permit is issued out. And once you get a contractor, we don't want him to leave. So once it started. So yeah, we'll be obviously trying to understand when it's the best time to be out there. And so we will be asking the questions of many people as possible to help us identify that the best time, and then we can get a contractor to commit to that time. So that's what I was guessing. Late spring might be the most appropriate start.
So is everyone able to see this as I'm scrolling through?
It's great. This
Okay,
is wonderful. We can send that link all around. That's great.
right. So you go to Public Works and they have current projects, and then the construction schedule that will be updated, I assume. Pedestrian traffic access management. If you look, there's a click here that takes you to the traffic management plan, shows where all the signs will be located.
That one's from National Grid. We'll be
Okay.
posting our contractors one once
Okay.
it's completed.
All right, then, Anne, you were asking about what's included. So, and I'm doing multiple screens here. So Justin said from the railroad tracks to just shy of Kenneth Dunn Square. So this whole stretch.
Yeah, the square there. That's perfect. That's perfect. And we can send that link. I can have the link. I can
Right.
Tatiana send that to everybody. 240 people. That's perfect.
So, and then there's the plans, so they can get some of the detail. Oh, here's the specifics of the actual, what's going to be changed.
So it'll be new roadway, new sidewalks, some
Yes.
2 new light poles.
But the sidewalks won't be until next spring. Is that not correct, Stephen?
Yeah, that's correct. Next spring.
And then the new light
Most of the
pole,
light poles are already installed. There's just two
Right.
remaining ones right now, so.
right, so the gas work being done and the private element and municipal water. So that's the website.
And roughly what is the timeline for like this phase 2, as we're calling it? Like, is it like 2 weeks or 2 months?
I think that's gonna depend a lot on the, you know, how fast we can move with the businesses. We need to make sure that they still have, you know, accessible entrances to their, you know, their stoops and stuff during construction.
Yeah.
That's gonna be difficult to say, where I think, Steve, where we'd be probably anticipating a month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah, I would say so, because that's the timeline we had for this year. All the work was going to be done within a 3-month time frame. So we're thinking if we can get a contract to complete all that work and still maintain the accesses, we probably get it done in 2 months and once started next year.
Listen, if businesses have a specific question, where should I send them to? Should I send them to you or to you, Justin? Is there someone I should send them
Yeah,
to?
right on the top of that webpage, it has my contact info for any questions.
Okay, perfect.
We have to load the traffic detour plan. We only got it yesterday.
Yeah, and it's not complete, Steve. We had some comments on
No
it.
comments. Yeah.
Could I ask for the minutes? Steve, could you repeat the sequence during phase 1? You said 2 weeks of something, 3 weeks for another thing, then 2 weeks. There was a sequence there that I didn't quite catch.
All right, so based on the conversation with the contractor, the work for this phase 1
Mhm.
will be done in approximately 3 weeks.
Okay,
The first week is preparing and getting the drainage in place. The second week, if that's completed, the second week will be the reclamation and getting the street to bind. Obviously, everything is conditioned on weather, so weather permitting.
Mhm.
And the third week will be cleaning up and making it ready for winter or winter shutdown.
Okay.
We're hopeful that everything can be done within that 3-week window.
Okay, and it was a certain part of that you said Concord Street would be used as a detour. Could you say like which part of that 3-week period? Is it all of it or just a subset?
It will be the second week when
Second week, okay,
being reconstructed.
okay.
And do you know, you said there'd be a one-way during that time. Do you know which direction that'll be?
So it's eastbound on Concord Ave and Losbrook.
Got it.
No, sorry, that's I have that wrong, right? Is it?
Yeah, it's westbound
Yeah, it's
Okay.
westbound.
Right, westbound, right.
from Commonwealth Ave to Conant Street to Main.
Well, it'll really only be a section of Commonwealth Ave that's getting reclaimed. That'll be the one way. It'll go back, we'll have to have traffic, movements go around the triangle to maintain that, as a one way, and then on Church Street through Commonwealth, like on the other side of the train tracks for Commonwealth Ave, we'll have to make that so that it operates as a one way through Commonwealth Ave in this, essentially the section of our project. So
let's talk about parking for that week that we reconstructing the street. All parking within that section will not be available, on-street parking.
Yeah.
We want to advise everyone to use the parking over the MBTA lot. We will.
businesses have parking areas, like Deborah's has a small parking area behind their establishment that, is available for that specific market.
Okay.
Somebody
Any other-
remind me,
Barbara, you just muted.
Muted. Can somebody remind me when the asphalt plant typically closes?
November 15th.
Thank you.
That's the case for most plants. Nowadays, you have plants running year round, a couple of plants running year round.
And maybe we can suggest Ride Out as a place for people to park too, those who feel comfortable walking. Not going to be a very long walk.
Okay, we'll make a note of that on the website.
Yeah, I also just think we might want to like kind of notify the Concord police about to sort of be on the lookout for people going off Detour, because there's just a lot of kids in that area. It's like there's a crosswalk that goes to the elementary school and a bunch of streets where they walk to school, and there's a daycare. So we want people to stay on the route, in other words.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of detour signs posted.
Any other questions?
I have one quick question for Steve Dukran. It's not really related, but sort of related. It's that, Steve, who do I contact? The flashing light to get people to stop when they cross, get cars to stop on Old Marlborough Road when they're crossing the rail trail. That's out again. It's not working. So who should I contact? I take that every day, and so I can tell when it's out. And so it is very dangerous. And so who should I contact? Should I email you? Is there someone in the town I should say when the light is broken?
We are, well, currently we have been aware of the issues and we've been dealing with it. We have a contractor, a maintenance contractor who's been looking into it, and they changed out the control on one side, and which took a long time to get because of the shortage of material, the long lead time on things nowadays, equipment. And last week, just a new involved in some tree cover removal.
Yeah, one of the one of the rapid flashing beacons has a solar panel that was obstructed by a bunch of tree branches. So Highway and Grounds Department, we removed some trees there to try to get that operating again correctly. Our contractor has sort of tried to explain to us how it operates is that once one battery dies on the other side, it basically triggers both flashes to go off and drains both batteries, and then so they'll be going off constantly for a little bit, and then they'll just drain the batteries completely, and then the whole system doesn't work anymore. So we're trying to get it to work appropriately. It's ongoing, but right now our contractor has he's currently charging the batteries, and they're going to be reinstalled later on this week. So then fingers crossed that it's all gonna function properly. It's been kind of an issue for us that it just things aren't working correctly. So
Thank you. I'm glad to know it's under care. Thank you.
We have two hands up, and I don't know who raised their hand first, but Sue, did you have a question or comment? Sue Felshin?
Yes, I do. Sue Felshin, 19 Sunnyside Lane. I'm the planning board liaison to the West Concord Advisory Committee, but I'm asking a question as a West Concord pedestrian on my own behalf, which is, thank you for the link to your current project's website. I just took a quick glance at it, and I don't see the answer to my question. You're going all the way down to Kenny Dunn Square, and I am wondering, as part of this project, will you be narrowing Commonwealth Avenue as it curves past Kenny Dunn Square to calm traffic in any degree? And will you be changing the curb cuts along the set of businesses, the Neshoba Brook Bakery building and the gas station, so that instead of one gigantic curb cut, which cars use as a giant sea of entering and exit, will there be a narrowing or split in those two sections of driveway? Thanks.
So this project got started as a Complete Streets project. We got some grant funds to complete the work. That project is essentially sidewalk improvements between Church Street and say 13B Commonwealth Ave. That's the driveway. It's called Behar Street, but it's not really the street, right? It's a private road. And so the work is the sidewalk improvements. And under our old roads program, we decided to reconstruct the street, starting at the railroad tracks and ending near Kennedy Square. That's just a paving job. The reconstruction is from our pavement management. So we don't have any funds to do any improvements at the triangle. We are aware that there are safety issues, there are speeding issues, turning movement problems, and so on. So that's a bigger project that we'd like to take on when we have the means to do so. But this current project just paves to the end of the bad pavement, which is right around the triangle.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Jeff, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, thanks, John, for the opportunity. And thanks, Steve and Justin, for the description of the project. I apologize. I joined the discussion a little bit late after you had started. But Stephen, did you say that the sidewalk work would have to wait until 2023?
Yes, that's correct.
And can you offer a schedule for that, or where that would fit in terms of sort of the seasonality of projects, the priorities? And I presume by sidewalk work, we mean the bump outs, the crosswalks on Church Street and Commonwealth.
Yes. We are trying to see if we can determine that a little earlier, maybe before you join. We are thinking late spring, early summer for a start, and once started, maybe 2 months of work.
Great. Thank you. I'm sure the whole committee is fully aware of this, but that's really a primary interest for walkability across Commonwealth, and appreciate the scheduling complexities of this whole project. But if the committee can stay in touch with CPW through the winter, early spring, and see if that work is teed up to not miss a beat on the two sides of the project divided by the winter, I think that'll be great to wrap up this long held vision of pedestrian safety improvements on Commonwealth. Thanks.
Yeah, I guess, and to say that another way, I imagine that, I'm not sure how you're gathering feedback, but I imagine the feedback would just be as soon as possible for the start, because everybody's excited to see the final product.
Yeah, we keep on it, and it's funded by grant monies, and therefore we can't delay that much longer.
Good. Any other comments or questions for Stephen or Justin?
I just have a quick comment that there's a like a speed limit flashing awareness thing on I think it's on Main Street in West Concord, and it says thank you when you are going at the speed limit or under, and I really love that. I've never seen one of those that does that, and so I just wanted to say thank you for getting one that thanks the motorist for going the speed limit.
Yeah, I wish we can take credit for that, but we have to give credit to PD. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Marcia.
No, the police department, not planning.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, well, thank you to the police department.
Cool. Well, thank you, Stephen and Justin, for the updates. Really
Sure,
appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for
maybe-
having us.
Thanks for having us.
To take Jeff's point, maybe we'll just touch base with you through the winter, like he kind of pointed out.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free to contact us anytime.
Okay, and maybe we could have you back on sort of as that date gets closer in one of the late winter meetings.
Sure, we'll be available.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night. So we're a little short on time. It was our last meeting was only 2 weeks ago, so it may work out because there may not be much to update on. I know that actually, Marcia, do you mind resharing your screen with the agenda?
I will see if I can, yes. Okay,
I have a slideshow to present.
Yeah, one second. And that's on the signage. And
Yes, on signage. I've got the signage show and I need to do that with you to get your approval to present it with the West Concord Junction Cultural District. They moved their meeting up because of the voting yesterday. So they're meeting next week on the 13th.
so why don't we, if you guys see the agenda, I would imagine, so we just finished 4 and also 8. I would imagine we don't have much on 5, 6, or 7 to update. And Anne really wants to present 9. And then if we can leave, why don't we allocate 10 minutes for that? And maybe we can move to vote to accept it. And then I don't think we have much to talk about on 10. Laura needs to update us on 13B, so we want to leave at least a few minutes for that, and then at least 5 minutes for liaison assignments. And that doesn't give us much time for public comment. So, and why don't we try to keep the signage to under 10 minutes? Do you think you can do that?
I sure can. It's very visual.
Okay.
It's all visual. I could share my screen if you'd like. And am I legally allowed to share my screen?
yes, you can. Only one person at a time can share, so that's why the agenda disappeared. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. You're quick. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
I did? No,
That's
really?
what I ran into. It must be a setting somewhere.
Yeah, let me, hang on, I will.
I can share my screen, not that I need to right now, but I'm able to, but I'm gonna close out of that.
I think that's because I made you a co-host. I was having some
Oh.
issues.
Make me co-host.
That I can do that. Hang on. Good idea. There you go.
All right, let's see it.
I'm co-host now. How did that happen? Thank you, Marcia. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is great. So it came right up. Thank you very much, Marcia, for making this possible, for inviting me into your office that's under construction to take a picture of the sign. That was very kind of you. So this is the sign. We have 4 of them. They're quite beautiful. They're light. They're made. There are 4 of them, and they're about I'd say 3 feet by 1.5 feet average. And then on last meeting, we briefly discussed where to put the 4 of them. I reviewed some of this earlier with Billy Crosby, the sign maverick, who happens to have his office right next to my studio at Bradford Street. And his big idea was the first sign should be where number 1 is. Can everybody see that? So people coming off Route 2, but just before the curve, they see it. The second one would be with Marcia. We discussed this, like, I think I have it more or less in the right area, but we can adjust. This is just a draft, guys. The second one is like just within the cultural district, opposite Fowler Library, before Fowler Library starts, near where the church music center is. The third one would be at Rideout Park, kind of marking the center, the belly button, the heart of the cultural district. And the fourth one, in looking at it, and I actually did go out and did a little study. I took an art member, Irene Stapleford, and we went out with a sign and we made pictures. The fourth one would be just before. We realized it would probably be best just outside the district before the bridge over the Assabet River. So let me just show you how that looks. And this is a draft, guys. So here's Irene standing there with the West Concord, with just a mock-up of a styrofoam sign here, the West Concord Junction, just before the little curve. It's basically, here it is bigger, heading from Route 2 towards Junction on Commonwealth Ave. This is how it would look. And I think it'd be really good at actually slowing people down as they get to that curve. Oh, there's something here, right? I think it's well placed there. And that's, again, you even when we're big kind of wide view, you do see it on the right. There's not that much other signage clutter there on that little, what is that called? That's Kenny Dunn Square right there. And then the second sign would be, just in front, opposite the library, heading towards down Route 2, down 62, heading down Main Street towards the junction, just before the tree there. It's interesting that the brown in the sign kind of echoes the brown and the red brown brick of the library. It's kind of cute, kind of works. Here's another image of the same thing, heading down Main Street, kind of defines the identity of the place. The third one would be in the Junction Park itself, but not in a place where people stand or sit, just in front of a tree. I don't know if you guys can see it well. I have a closer in picture. Here's another one, the third one. Here's a better picture of it. But what was really funny is Irene insisted when she was carrying the sign, we saw people smile as we put this sign up. It was really wild. So people were happy to they smiled when they waved at us when we were holding the sign, because there were a lot of people walking this part of the trail going into the junction. Now it kind of has an identity. We thought that worked really well. And also cars going by, if it's not hung too high, cars going by will see it. What I noticed in Rockport is they really do, place the signs so drivers see them before the cultural district. So you want to slow down and get out and get your curiosity up. I thought it works really well there. And then the fourth one, the final one, would be just in front of the 62 sign heading west. We tried it opposite the fire station, but it was too cluttered. There was too much going on with the fire station and with the drugstore. There's just too much. So just before, outside the district, was Concord Junction, and we thought it would slow the cars down. So there's another picture of that in front of the bridge just in front of the bridge over the Assabet River on Main Street, Route 62 heading west. So here's again the 4 dots. And then just for, Picasso has this great quote, good artist copy, great artist steal. So I just kind of stole these ideas from what I saw this summer when I was on the vineyard. They have their cultural district signs. They have one really well before you see any pedestrians outside the Aquinas Circle Cultural District. And then right at where all the eateries and the stores are and the restaurants and the overlook, that's where the central one is. So it kind of copied that same thing. So I can just show it to you again, Guy. Basically, everybody has access to it. And it's a public link. I've shared it also with other people in West Concord. A lot of people said they were very interested in this, and I'll share it with the members of the plan was to present it to the Cultural District Committee, the Junction Cultural District Committee on Wednesday. I need to find out exactly when their meeting is, because I do teach that night. So I believe the meeting's at 6, but I'm not sure. I have to find out. If I can't do it, someone will have to do it for me.
What is it that, yeah, go ahead.
The West Concord Junction Cultural District is meeting next Tuesday night.
Next Tuesday, okay. At 7. Okay, so I teach then. So I can't present this, but if someone else could present it for me, or I could provide them the link. I can send the link to the board chair because I teach that night. So I don't think I could do it. But yeah. So I think I was going to have Billy review it again because this guy's a sign master for 40 years, right? And just to make sure he thinks it's good. But I think basically
just one thing, putting it in Junction Park may be controversial. And so if that doesn't fly with the Green Thumbs, the women who maintain the park, and Public Works, who's responsible for maintaining the park, you might want to think about over by Rideout Playground on Lawsbrook Road as people are approaching from the west.
You mean right about opposite where? Okay, I'm actually working with the people at the Green Thumbs.
Okay.
And so I can actually ask them, I can present this to them and ask them what they think. But because, so you're saying, well, number one is we could have one opposite or closer towards Rideout? Where
the parking lot is at Rideout Playground?
Yeah,
that could be another one. I think it's actually, I would say though, what they did at Aquinas is very powerful. And I would also say seeing people smile as we even held it up was really amazing.
I'm just saying, they have been very negative about any signage in the park. And we're actually going to be removing some of the walk your bike signs from the park. We're going to be proposing a new sign that says, welcome to Junction Park, you know, a place that's shared to respect others and so forth. And so I don't want, I would prefer not to have some more signs or controversial or increasing controversy over that. If
I
at
think
all
that's a
possible,
great idea,
because-
Marcia. I don't think I didn't know about that and they didn't know about this. So let's bring them all up together and let's do the best thing that makes everybody happy. We don't want to make it controversial. We want to, I think it was your idea who said this, and I suggested this to a couple people. It was actually your idea. And I think it's brilliant to try to have the signs up by October 15th.
Yeah.
Discover West Concord Day and have a sign opening. And I did happen to mention that briefly to a select board member who shall remain who will not be named. And anyway, to make a long story short, I think the select board can get behind us. They'll want to see this happen because it's just a huge thing, and it you know, it can be perfect.
And Laura, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I actually, before Marcia even brought this up, I was thinking that 3 and 4 are pretty close together and may be somewhat repetitive. And I was thinking the exact same thing, that perhaps it would make sense to move 3 onto Lawsbrook so that all the people, which are tons and tons of people in the morning, especially, I live on Lawsbrook, that are coming in, you know, and having some signage there as opposed to number 3. That's, I mean, exactly what I was thinking. Separate, I didn't know about the green thumbs issue, but that might, you know, make some sense too.
Well, I think they both do. I think what I saw though is having people on the rail trail knowing that it's part of the cultural district here is really important, and having it face a different direction. So the people, when they see 4, they're looking they're looking west. When people see 3, they're looking south. They're looking in a completely different direction. So either some of them will see it heading west, some of them see it south. And from what I saw, they did in Aquina and they also did in Rockport. What I'm seeing what the other towns are doing that have had these signs up longer than we have, what I'm seeing is they also have it right in the center. But I will talk to Green Thumbs, whatever, I'm fine with moving it to Lawsbrook. But I think in a way, missing it, not having it on the rail trail itself is a loss. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
I think we just need more signs, right? We only
Yeah,
have
that's
4.
another thing.
No.
But that's actually, we could ask the Green Thumb to do their sign and say, and just have a little note, West Concord Junction Cultural District on it. That's maybe another way. We could
Yeah,
do
I
it.
mean, I think part of the problem, like, I do agree with like having the rail trail be noticed, you know, that they're entering the district, but you only have 4 signs. And I think if you're coming in on Lawsbrook, you're gonna miss the sign on the number 1 sign, unless you could put it like at the corner there, the point of the grass, the area to kind of get both. But even then, I think it's not gonna be optimal.
Right.
So I think.
Well, I could definitely come up with a plan B for this, which suggests putting number 3 by Ride Out Playground.
Yeah.
Just outside, because what I've noticed, some of the cultural district signs are 1/10 of a mile before the cultural district officially sign, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like giving, and I think both could work. Honestly, guys, both could work. Let's just get them out there because most people at the mill still don't know we're part of the cultural district.
So do we need to vote on something, or are you just running this by us?
I think you should take a vote because this is what you're proposing and you want the select board to support. And then it will to these locations, knowing that 3 might shift to Ride Out Playground after there's input from some additional folks. But in concept, the goal being installation of the signs by October 15th.
I think that'd be huge. I think that's great. Concept with 3 possibly moving to Ride Out based on what the Green Thumbs say.
Okay, so I'll write the motion as we'll move to vote, or I'd like to move to vote to accept this as a proposal for the sign placement with the acknowledgement that 3 might move to the to
Ride Out
Lawsbrook,
Playground. Yeah.
near Ride Out, with the intention of posting the signs by October 15th.
That sounds awesome. I support it.
So that's a second, and then any opposed? So
You
we'll
may
just
need take a roll call vote, John, please.
Okay, so Barbara, yes or no, yay or nay?
Yep, fine.
Laura,
Yay.
Anne
Yep.
and Susan. Susan's on mute,
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Okay,
Susan.
if you can do, I can talk about it with the, because in a way, the write-out one might be really powerful too. Get people who are playing there will see the idea, oh, it's a cultural district, maybe we should go. You know, it'll give people the idea of thinking about it. It could also be super powerful there. I mean, I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it's also powerful labeling having people on, really, when people walk and bike, they drive slower and they smiled when we put up the sign. We didn't expect that, you know, and I thought, whoa.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So,
All
so
right.
what I can do is I can present it to here's the thing. I need to know if it's at 7 o'clock, I can't go to the meeting on the 13th, which is Tuesday, because I teach that night. So can someone else?
And I might be able to be there. So if you can send this to me or provide me the link, I can
You
do
already
that.
have the link. I will send you the link. That'd be awesome. And I will,
I don't remember getting it from you.
okay,
so
I will make sure you get the link.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
so just to be clear, Marcia, you're volunteering to present this.
I usually attend their meetings anyway, so I will be happy to present it for you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Marcia, if you want, I can try to talk to the Green Thumbs before what they thought, if you want me to.
If that would be useful and helpful.
And then I'll get back to you, because I will be talking to them anyway. We're doing a show together in 2 weeks. So that's great. Guys, you were awesome. I hope we barely met 10 minutes. So I'll stop the share. I will send you everything.
So we'll do a pretty quick tour of the end of the meeting here. So we're just going to do, I really want to get the update from Laura on 13B, and then we'll leave a few minutes for public comment. We're going to punt the remainder of the liaison assignments discussions in the next meeting. We already have that roughed out. And I know some of the new members wanted a couple of meetings to think about it. Anyway, you can see what some of those liaison assignments could be. And then in the minutes from August, you can see what some of the preliminary assignments already are. But Laura, could you do you mind updating us on 13B briefly?
Yeah, I wish I had more of an update. And maybe Sue, if you read the room a little bit differently or have some more information, you can speak up. So, you know, I asked about the timeline specifically and whether or not, you know, this bylaw was required to be passed in order to facilitate the construction of this area. And the feedback that I got was that it was their impression that because of the laws and the requirements, it was going to be too expensive for the developers to move forward with the project. And that although a potential alternative to the bylaws is going to eventually come up for a vote, they don't know whether that would affect the cost at all. And so it seemed like they were assuming that the project was not moving forward. Now, if I had been a little more savvy about this whole issue, perhaps I could have asked some better questions, but you know, this is what I was able to obtain from the meeting.
So if I understand that correctly, they're saying the project isn't going forward?
I mean, my understanding of what they were saying is that they thought that the project wasn't going forward because that it was too expensive.
That's really interesting you're saying that, because I spoke with a developer. I met him in a coffee shop just by accident. I asked him that 6 months ago. And he was saying that because of supply chain issues and the cost of development, construction just skyrocketing, they can't make the numbers work. That's what he indicated. But he kind of didn't want to answer directly, but that's what he was saying. So this is in line with what he indicated 6 months ago.
Do you have anything to add, Sue? Or did I misread it at all?
That's about right, Laura. John, should I jump in?
Sure.
Is that okay? So that's about right. It's not that it does appear stalled because given the jump in construction costs, it's just not financially feasible at the moment. the planning board is looking into tweaking zoning to see what might or might not balance interests of getting things built versus interests of the town and not in protecting affordable housing. Nothing could be voted on until spring's town meeting next year, and we're still in the middle of designing our warrant articles for next year. So this is why, Laura, you didn't get a clear idea from us on exactly what we'll be doing, because we're still discussing it. And of course, this construction market could change at any time and make the project viable again. One can only hope.
Okay, I mean, does anybody have any ideas? I mean, I imagine maybe the thing to do is just to continue to join the planning board meetings when this comes up.
We could ask to talk to the developer. He's talked to us before.
If you could find some money for him, he would love it.
He's the one who accepted our zoning, our new, remember with Susan and I, we came up with the new design guidelines, and he used them. He used them in his presentation to the public. It was fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, what can we use that space for as this project continues to be mulled over? Because it has been proposed before. Could we put some picnic tables in there, or could we have like fun, like large Jenga or Connect Four or something like that? And I was just wondering if we might be able to repurpose that area in the meantime.
Great idea.
We approached the owners, and they want liability insurance for using that space. Inviting the public in means there's liability and potential, and working that out is the issue. They were unwilling to do that without, I mean, we did approach them about using it. And while they did allow us to use the space for Discover West Concord Day, maybe 3-4 years ago, they have been reluctant to have anything. When we were talking about outdoor dining during COVID, outdoor space use, they were not interested. So I think if someone were to approach them as a resident, nonprofit, not the town, it might go over better.
Okay.
Okay, Sue. West Concord Green Thumbs, why not?
Yeah, I mean,
some
I
people
have
have
the
more sway than the
developers.
town.
I have the developer's email, and I'll shoot him an email and see if he might entertain a conversation about this.
I'd be happy to join you in that if you're interested. Or you can
Okay.
I'd be happy to join you, but I think as a team we're stronger.
Maybe you could get more intel from him on this financial consideration too. If there's anything else to know about that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is
I think it's
so
a really good
the
idea.
developer and the owner are the same person, is that correct?
I'm not sure right now. I believe that Patrick Cleary bought out the people who developed Brookside, or at least took the lead. And so I would start with Patrick and then go see where things stand.
We've met with Patrick before.
Mhm.
Years ago.
Patrick's been the one who was
That-
promoting the design and everything, so.
I think we could, I think we should do something. I think we should reach out to him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
That'd be great. All right, permission to go over 5 minutes. I know there's at least one person from the public who's on, and I want to make sure that there's time for comment. So anybody from the public have any comments? We're in the public comment section.
If I'm the only member, none from me. Thanks, John.
Well, there's an iPad for Helen as well. So I'll take that to mean no public comment, which means we can end just about on time. So again, we didn't get to liaison assignments or any other liaison updates, but that's fine. You guys can have more time to think about that. The remainder of the items will go into the initiative tracker for next time. Most likely we won't have have a lengthy update like we did today. So we'll probably get back to some of those other items. And Laura,
What does EVC stand for?
economic vitality is the small businesses in
Okay.
Wisconsin. There's one missing from here, which is actually Public Works.
Mhm.
I forgot to add that to the list.
If I may, there were two things. One, you received today, the flyer for the housing production plan. That's next Wednesday night. If you're able to participate, we would really appreciate your input in the goals and strategies that are being developed for that housing production plan. And the other is the West Concord unveiling of the mural is scheduled for the 24th in the morning at 11 on Beharrell Street, and Porch Fest is that afternoon. So something to look forward to.
Great. All right, thanks, Marcia. So, all right, with that, I'm going to move to adjourn. So, since we're 2 minutes over, do I have a second?
I second it.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, everybody.